Hi, welcome to my podcast, Becoming a Cut Flower Grower. I'm your host, Lydia, and I'm here to share my year of growing and selling cut flowers. I'll be giving you the lowdown on everything I'm doing and sharing all the highs and lows, the good times and the inevitable disasters, all in real time. Join me on my cut flower journey, starting right now. Hello, welcome to the latest episode. It is Tuesday, the 6th of May. It's about 8:30 now. This is the second recording I've made of the first part of this episode because when I went to listen back to the first one, the little battery had gone on the microphone. So I had about 30 seconds of me talking and then 6.5 minutes of total silence. So I'm having to do it all again. And hopefully I will remember what I said the first time. I hope you're well and you had a good bank holiday and everything on your plot is coming along nicely and it's all feeling under control and you're nice and calm. It is just an incredibly busy time. There is so much going on. I had a really busy weekend and I've only just got on the plot this evening. So I've been making hanging baskets all day and now I'm up here and I've been planting out my calendula, scabious and some more orlaya. So I had a bit of a tidy up of the bed and just a bit of a rake and get all the stones and bits and pieces out. Make it look tidy, get everybody in, and I'll give them a bit of a water now. Everything else is looking fine up here. I'm just having a look at the nigella that went out last week. They haven't done anything in a week. They look tiny, you can barely see them, but I'm hoping that there is plenty of activity going on under the surface. What normally happens when they go out is that they just have a complete panic and they sort of freeze and nothing happens for about a week or so. And the same thing happened with the cornflowers. They didn't do anything for about a week and they're kind of concentrating on getting their roots down, which makes perfect sense. But it's always a bit worrying when you look at them day after day and absolutely nothing has changed. But fingers crossed, they'll all be fine. I have managed to clear an extra bit of ground as well because the mini digger man, he did tell me he was going on holiday and we didn't confirm any dates or anything, so I just got to wait for him to get back. And I've just been feeling really antsy about, is he going to come back, is he going to confirm? So I thought, right, just get as much cleared of space as I possibly can just in case he turns around and says, I can't do anything. All my dahlias are doing fine. I mean, we had this heat wave last week and then the temperatures sort of plummeted over the weekend. So Sunday was really cold. And today it was meant to be cold and then it turned out to be really hot. So I actually left the greenhouse door shut this morning. And when I got back this afternoon, everybody was sweltering. And the Achillea, the pearl, had a bit of a crisis. So they had to come outside and cool down. So it's really, really mixed weather. And one night, I think it was Saturday into Sunday, dropped down to about 2 or 3 degrees overnight. So very, very cold. And definitely too cold for the tender things to go out. Despite, daytime temperatures being lovely and everything, the nighttime temperatures will not suit the tenders. So I've sorted my seedlings out into 2 groups. I've got the really hardy annuals in one group, which is things like the nigella and the cornflowers and scabious. And then the half-hardies or the tenders, which is things like the zinnias. And they are going to, so the tender ones are going to stay in until at least the end of May. And I don't mean inside the greenhouse all the time. They can come out during the day if it's nice and warm, but they do need to go in at night. And then towards the end of the month, I'll start leaving them out at night to harden them off so it's not a complete shock when they come up here, because I want them to hit the ground as fast as they possibly can. But there's always sort of that intervening period between when they come out of the compost and they go into the soil. Now, for some of my seedlings, certainly when I first started out, I was doing a more of a composty, loamy mix. So I have this huge bin, and every time I empty a pot in my garden, I throw the compost in there and kind of recycle it. Because when the seedlings get going, they don't need a really rich compost at all. In fact, it's not good for them and it's a waste anyway. So I like to reuse stuff, and loamy soil ends up in there as well. And I think that's quite good for the seedlings because it gets them used to being in a soil, so that when you plant them out, it's not just a shock of being outside, not in a greenhouse, not in a protected space, not surrounded by housing and everything, and just suddenly plonked into a field. It's also that if they've been in soil already, they don't suddenly have to get used to this strange medium, which is very, very different from loose, light bark, not bark, compost. So that's what I've tried to do with that. And so really everything it's starting to fill up in this space after what feels like quite a long time of just the perennials being here. Now the annuals are going out, starting to look quite businesslike. So now we just have to keep an eye out for marauding pigeons, and also like half an eye out for my special little squirrel. So if you listen to some of the episodes that I did months ago, I had this squirrel that turned up. He was here over the winter, actually. I think he was one of late season's babies, and his parents kind of just abandoned him, and he used to hang out here all the time and steal the chickens' food. And then his sort of parting shot was that he rampaged through the vegetable area, and he ate all of my chicory and all of the cavallonero. And it was just at that stage where it was just looking really beautiful. And then he vanished. So, I mean, none of it's toxic, so it can't be that. But he completely disappeared. He's not been back at all. And his parents haven't been back either. And there's always been squirrels here. I have thousands of photos of squirrels. So it's a bit of a mystery. And I'm thinking, I kind of miss them, actually, even though they are a nuisance and naughty and come and ruin things. Like when you've just hung out with them for years and they suddenly disappear, I think that's a bit sad. Anyway, I kind of don't want him to come back, though, because he will cause trouble. We do have quite a lot of red kites here in the Chilterns, and they sort of keep the pigeons away, I guess. I don't know. Sometimes I turn up and there's a pigeon sat on the fence panel, but so far they haven't come in. But I've got lots of, not obstacles, I suppose, but I have stuff on the plot that perhaps makes things more tricky for them. Because you know how clumsy pigeons are, they're always crashing into stuff. I think they quite like a bit of clear space when they're trying to land. So the foxgloves are doing really well. All of a sudden, in the last week, in that heat wave, they've put on quite a bit of growth. And my baby peonies, which I got knocked down from a neighbour last year because they were really, really small, I've got a couple of buds on those, which is way more than I was expecting. Very pleased about that. And some little ants on the top, on the buds, which is a good sign because it means there's something going on inside the bud. And what else? The Verbena bonariensis is a bit of a mixed bag. It was looking really good early in the season, and then it just seems to have had a bit of a wobble and not quite sure what it's doing. And I've decided not to do any weeding around things this year because I want the ground cover. But then I hate the look of it. It looks really messy, and I look like someone that's just really lazy and can't be bothered to do a proper job, which I don't like. And so, I mean, the only alternative really is to put a compost mulch down or put a bark mulch down. And I don't really want to use the compost in these areas because the soil is very rich already, and I don't want to have just masses of leafy growth and nothing else. Cornflowers are doing super well. Don't even need to think about them. And it's all looking very exciting. So I'm gonna, oh dear, I've just stood at the front of one of my lines and all my calendula's are completely skew-whiff. They're all on the diagonal instead of straight lines. How have I managed to do that? That looks awful. Oh my goodness me. I'll put a photo of that on the Instagram at Hen Hill Cut Flowers, and you can see what a muppet I've been when I've put those in, obviously not concentrating. So I'm going to water everything now and pick up for part 2 of this episode once I've done that. All right, so in the final part of this episode, I wanted to chat about a couple of things. So I've been thinking already about tulips. Last year I didn't have any money in the autumn, so I didn't buy any tulips, so I haven't got any tulips this spring. Not even for my own garden. I've only got the perennial ones like Apricot Beauty, which come back for a couple of years before vanishing. So I am determined to put some money on one side and make sure I get tulips. And I'm going to be getting parrot tulips, which are the really showy, over-the-top, exuberant ones, plus probably some viridifloras, which are very, very striking, very elegant, very beautiful. I wouldn't recommend getting anything ordinary or boring, because supermarkets, garden centres are full of them. People can do them themselves quite easily. So I think it's important to get something that's very different, that most people won't get, that they'll be excited about. The Rembrandts also look really good. So I'm thinking about that, and I think they're going to go in the area where the dahlias go. So when the dahlias come up in November, I'm going to fill the space that they've been with tulips, packed very, very close together, just plonked in the ground, covered up. And I might put some protection over them in the spring. I'll leave them exposed in the winter, exposed obviously, but covered under the soil, so that they really get to chill down over the winter, and then perhaps put some kind of cover over them in the spring, just to get them to flower nice and early. So that's what I've been thinking about, and I know it's like only the beginning of May, and my brain probably should be on the here and now, but as I have said before, you do kind of need to be thinking months ahead, a year ahead, also 5 years ahead. So if it's the right time of year for you, have a think about what you need to be doing in like 3 or 4 months' time, because they'll go on sale, tulips in the UK, in about August time. So you really need to have made your decision by July time, so that you can get your orders in early, so you can be guaranteed to get what you want. And then they'll probably arrive maybe, September, October time, and you can put them in the ground in November in the UK when you're ready for them. I don't put them in any earlier than that, and I certainly won't have the ground ready for them any earlier than that. But it's worth thinking about it now, because July will be here in the blink of an eye, and it will probably be a very busy time, and you might not be thinking, oh my goodness, am I ready for tulips now? But you need to be thinking about these things. The other thing I've been thinking about is actually being really brave and doing some bouquets of flowers for sale myself. I have said before that I'm no good at arranging flowers. I love doing really enormous displays for me, but I don't have the space at home, so sometimes I just do them and I leave them outside in the garden. I love doing really big, crazy things. But small bouquets and arrangements, I've had some training on doing hand ties, and I'm really not that good at it. But then I've been looking on the internet and Instagram what other people have been doing, and thinking, well, I really should learn. I really should get a handle on this. I'm growing everything. It's going to be beautiful. I should get my stuff together and make the effort to learn how to arrange them properly, so that in the event that the florist can't take them, or any other florists don't want them, I can put some bouquets together myself and offer them to people. So I'm going to watch some more tutorials and see if I can practice with some shop-bought ones and get the hang of it, because I always thought that was something that I just wasn't going to bother with. I'm a grower, I want to grow stuff and sell it, and that's it. But I might be missing out on something if I don't learn how to do that. I've got 7 more dahlia cuttings coming next week, so this is my much anticipated order from Halls of Heaven, and I did ask them to deliver in mid-May, because I did not want them to arrive any sooner, because I knew there isn't going to be space, and there'll barely be any space for them when they do arrive. So that will be very exciting. I could not whittle my list down, so I got it down. I had about 20 on the list, and I thought, that's ridiculous, you've got to pick 5. So I picked 5, and then when I was doing the order, I ended up putting 7 down, which is like the tiniest amount in the world. I'm sure there are people out there who are doing like 50,000 dahlias or something, so 7 is neither here nor there. But I'm going to see which of them do really well for me this year, and then I'll order some more next year. So that'll probably take me up to about 67 or 70 dahlias, which is a huge thing for me. At most, I've had 2 in my garden, I think. So I've never done anything on this kind of scale before, and I really don't want to mess it up. So this is going to be my absolute limit. I'm not going to get any more, and I'm just going to try and make the best. Well, I am going to make the best of the ones that I've got. And the final thing I want to talk about is how tough things are at this time of year. And I know I keep saying it, make sure you take time for yourself and look after yourself. I had a message from one of my listeners to say she'd had a tough couple of weeks and she'd almost given up, and I'm not going to say obviously who it is because it's private, but I know how she feels. I have been so tired or frustrated or whatever that I have cried over the last 2 weeks with all of it. Like, it's a pressure cooker at this time of year. There's no way around it, but it will pass. And if I could offer a couple of pieces of advice, if you're interested, it would be to talk to people who are growers like you, who are in the same position as you. Because what I find is that people who don't grow naturally, they don't understand all of the pressures. And so I've been working up at this plant nursery doing hanging baskets to get some money through the door. And obviously the owner is a grower herself. And so just talking to her, she's a little bit older than me, she's seen it all, done it all, terribly experienced. And she's going through exactly the same stresses that I am, on a much bigger scale, because she's got thousands of plants. But just even going there and just sort of having this release of telling her how I'm feeling, and she's like, yeah, absolutely the same. And she's worried about water the same way as I am, and too hot, too cold, are people going to buy them, what's going to happen this year? So if you feel sometimes like you're banging your head against a brick wall when you talk to people who just don't understand what you're going through, then I would strongly advise you don't struggle by yourself. Talk to some people who are growing like you. Hop onto some forums if you have time. There are groups all over the place, Facebook groups, whatever, where you can just, even if you don't post anything, you can see what other people are going through, and you won't feel quite so isolated. Because if you are doing this on your own like I am, you have all of the responsibility, all of the stresses and worries, and there are an awful lot of them. And some people make well-meaning comments, but it just sort of adds to the stress of it. Yes, I can't control the weather, it will be what it will be, and that's it. But that doesn't take away how I feel about things. So if you are struggling at the moment, I feel what you're going through, I hear you, I understand, I'm in the same boat, and I'm hoping that we can all laugh about this in a couple of months. When we've got fields of lovely flowers and everything is fine, we can start cutting them and selling them, and we'll look back on April, May and think, wow, what a crazy time. But the point is, we got through it. We will get through it. We're on this journey together, and I am right here. And if you have problems or you just want to vent or anything, you can contact me at Hen Hill Cut Flowers on Instagram, and I'm here. So you're not on your own. Okay, that's it for me. I will check in on Friday with an update, and hopefully I will have got a lot more planted this week and no disasters, God willing. Okay, all the very best. I'll catch up with you soon.